Should you buy a sand rail? My opinion is absolutely, hell yeah. I mean, why not? But here's some things to consider and some things to look at if you're looking in the market for a rail. Here's some things to look at and some things to walk away from and some good heads up. So first off, the first thing, if you're looking to get a rail, your number one thing is, do I have anywhere to ride it? You know, are you looking at a street legal rail? Are you looking at a strictly off-road rail? You really want some wide open spaces or some really wide trails. I mean, look at, you can see my XJ back there. It's the 90 Cherokee, and you can just see how much wider, how much bigger this thing is. I mean, they get pretty wide. They get pretty wide, but they're easy to transport. A lot of them come with, you could get a tow bar where you could flat tow. This one here's got brackets up here where you can hook a bar up to it and flat tow the rail. You can throw it on a T-trailer, a flatbed. The T-trailers are great because it makes it light and about anything can tow it. Another thing, if you get one, man, if you're not mechanically inclined, I mean, if you could just turn a wrench, that's not really good enough. I mean, because if you get one, you got to learn how to work on it, guys. I mean, it's okay if you at the start, you don't know how to work on it. I'll help you, man. If you get one, you don't know what to do. I don't know everything about Volkswagens, but man, I know a lot. And I've had several of these over the years and I just love them. But if you get one, you got to learn how to work on this motor. There's a great book out there, an old timer wrote. It's called, let me think about it. It's exactly the book I bought with my first rail, and it helped me learn a lot. It's called How to Keep Your Volkswagen Alive. And man, it's a great book. It goes through layman's terms, and it's a great book. So if you get a rail, first thing you need to do, and you don't know nothing about it, go buy that book, How to Keep Your Volkswagen Alive. It's like $20-$30, and it's worth every penny. And that's a must-have. So now, those are some things to consider. Another thing to consider, hey, do I want a single-seater, do I want a two-seater, or I want a four-seater? Those are all your options, guys. Most of the ones you're going to see are going to be two-seaters. And right now, the market there's a lot of these on the market, you know, especially around my area here, starting at $2,000 and up. You know, don't get screwed. I see a lot of crap projects out there for $2,000. That the motor is in pieces and it's just junk. I mean, just run away from junk unless you just got deep pockets and whatnot. So, but with that being said, let's see here. What do we want to talk about first? Things to look for. Here we go. Motors. There's going to be your main two different motors. If it's a Volkswagen air-cooled, yeah, they put 4.3. I mean, you could bolt a 350 up to these guys, but now you're talking about 10, 15, 20 grand. So your everyday sand rail is going to have a Volkswagen motor, and it's either going to be the older single port or it's going to be a dual port. And what that means here, your intake runners are dual port. So this is my motor here. It's a dual port motor, 40 horsepower. If it's got a single port, I wouldn't even mess with it unless they're just giving it away. Single port, I mean, that's the old 25, 30 horsepower. I wouldn't even fool with it because you're just not going to be happy with it. You got dual port motor. Another thing to look at is the transaxle. This here is a bug transaxle, which is fine. But if you've got a real big, heavy built motor, if you can find one with a bus transmission, which actually your bus transmission has your bell housing plate here bolts to the transmission. You can see here, this is all one solid casting, and there'll be a 3-rib, 5-rib, or 6 ribs right here. Very easy to identify a bus transaxle. If you see one of those, man, you freaking scored, and I hope you guys get a good deal on it. Another thing I look for is what type of transaxle it has as well. Is it swing tube or is it IRS? So a lot of the older ones have a swing tube here, which means it has a axle housing, and then the axle actually goes inside the tube. I don't really care for those. My last rail was like that. And when you start lifting them up, the tires kind of go like that. I don't like it. This one here is an IRS. You can see the shaft here. So as I lift this, it'll stay pretty. The tires will stay like they should be. Let's see, another thing to look for. Here is a stock rear suspension setup. You can see this casting here. It's got this flat bar. A lot of them, I love if you see box tubing here, that's going to be aftermarket stuff, which is great. That's a good sign here. If you start seeing stuff secure with ratchet straps, that's a big red flag. Check your brakes. This one here is set up with drum brakes, front and back, which suck. Drum brakes on these rails suck. That's my opinion. I don't like it. Definitely got to convert these to disc brakes. So if you see one with disc brakes, man, score, because you're looking at anywhere from $600 to $1,000 to get all your drum brakes converted over to disc brakes. Excuse me. Let's see here. Bolt patterns, that's not really a big deal. This one's got a 4-lug with a 5-wide adapter. Many different versions. Then you've got different sorts of front axles. You'll have a ball joint type, and then you have a kingpin that goes through here all the way. The kingpin is definitely the more rugged, but that doesn't make a real big difference here. This is what your stock shock tower looks like, and I'll eventually be upgrading this to an aftermarket. I'll have to cut this off and put a aftermarket shock tower, or I can get more travel out of this front end. We're going to get raised spindles, get this front end lifted up. Let's see here. What else? Something else to look for is just shatty work, guys. Like, look at this. Like, look at this here. That is shat right there. This is what you're looking for on a rail. This is the biggest thing right here, is the structural integrity of the rail. And I'm actually looking here, you can see where this one's got a little bit of corrosion there, which isn't too bad. Overall, this frame is pretty good, but these really start rusting at the bottom. So make sure you go over your piping, your tubing. Make sure you go over it very well. Man, make sure it's got good welds. Make sure it's got good welds. This one looks like it had something here in the past and got some damage or whatever. I got to get this fixed up, and actually I want to redo this whole rear section here, because I don't like the box tubing. Just looks like crap to me. So I want to get this redone. So I'm not worried about this, but definitely look for this. Look for definitely look up on the bottom. This one, I don't know yet. This one, actually, I got a good deal on this one because I just traded with my neighbor, and he just caught me in a good mood, and I traded him my old Yoda project I picked up. But I feel a little oomph there, so we'll see. Maybe it's not too bad. Maybe I'll get lucky, and it was just where they had a plate welded on it, because it feels like it was grinded smooth down right there. So if you look at your tube welds and they look like this, run away. Run as fast as you can. Another thing, look at your electricals. There is not the first fuse on this buggy, so I'm definitely going to have to get a fuse box. This is not a marine exterior dang setup right here. So this is some cheap China eBay crap. So make sure you make sure it's got a good functioning electrical system. Same thing with the shifter. Make sure it goes into all gears. This one here, actually, when you get these in reverse, depending on the shifter, you either got push down and over and back, or the empty ones, which I like, has a trigger where you pull up and you go over and back. You've even got the fancy ones that got the trigger you pull up. So make sure it goes into all gears. So I'm actually gonna probably just replace this whole shifter assembly here, and I got a lead on a bus transaxle I'm gonna try and find. So no fuses. Make sure the brakes work. Let's see this one here. Man, this one here, the brakes don't work. And this is that shattiness I'm talking about, guys. This right here is a big red flag. Big, giant, freaking blinking red flag. I mean, look at that. Looks like somebody tried to. That is just, if you see something like this, start looking harder. Look at all that California bubble gum is what we call it, guys, in my day job world. California bubble gum. Man, if you see something like that, look deeper, look deeper. Look deeper, then we'll get back here and I'll show you red flag, red flag, red flag. Oh man, we got a zip tie on the carburetor. Are you kidding me? Red flag, red flag. Fuel pump not even bolted up, red flag. Arcing out on the wire, red flag. They got a freaking house screw. So if you start seeing these red flags and this sucker wants $3,000, just walk away. Just Just save yourself the hassle and just walk away. If you want 1,200, 1,500 bucks and you don't mind, doing the work and you want to do the wrenching, which I love to do. I love junk. You guys, go through my videos on my channel. I love collecting junk. I love working on it. And that's just always been my thing. My dad passed away, 10 years ago. He was a mechanic. And that's my pastime, guys, is working on trucks with my dad. And it takes me back. So it's really going to depend on you and what you want to do. But I don't want you guys to get screwed now when you go out and get a rail. Definitely, if you don't know anything about it, you'll buy the biggest piece of junk, and the guy, gal, whoever's selling it, they're going to sell it like it's a piece of gold, and they're going to want $5,000 for it. And you're thinking you got a deal, and you're going to get home and you're going to ride it for a week, or every time you ride it, it's going to tear up, it's going to break down, and you're not going to be happy with it, and you're not going to like it, and you're going to be disappointed. So I want you guys to be happy. I want you guys to be excited, just like I am. And then if you guys get one, man, hell yeah. If you got one, or you need one, or you're getting one and you need help, dude, holla at me, hit me up. I'll share everything with you. One more thing. I know I keep yapping, guys. It's going to be a freaking 10-minute video. One more thing to look for. What I prefer is doghouse cooler. As you can see here, this is the non-doghouse. You got your oil cooler in here, and then the fan spins on the alternator or generator and cools the motor. And then, of course, the air blows through the oil cooler. So you see how this one is inside here? I don't care for this style. I like what they call the doghouse. So this is another one I picked up from a buddy in Tifton yesterday. So this is just a shroud that goes on there. And then instead of the oil cooler being in here, it's set back on the motor, and it has this little doghouse that comes off, which is why they call it a doghouse. And this style just has better cooling, and it's really a big preference of mine to have. So I'm building an 1835 for this motor, and I'm gonna run the doghouse cooler. And I'm gonna send this one whistling diesel style, and we're just gonna blow the shit out of it until it blows when we get closer to the motor being built. I don't want to do it yet because I want to have fun. And then when our motor gets close to being done, we're going to send it. And we're going to see what this Volkswagen can handle. But yeah, guys, that's it. If you got any questions, man, dude, feel free, comment down below, get my email. Dude, holler at me. I help you guys out for sure. And then as always, man, thanks for watching. Right on.